There was a for sale sign planted in the gravel when I came around the last bend. For 1 second, I honestly thought it had to be for the lot next door. Then I saw the address placard hanging beneath it, my address? Or rather, the mountain house I had spent $480,000 building for my parents' 35th anniversary. And just beyond the sign, on the cedar front porch I had designed around my mother's old Pinterest board and my father's obsession with long-range ridge views, stood a real estate agent holding the door open while a couple in hiking shoes walked through the entry like they were already imagining their furniture inside. I stopped the car in the middle of the drive. 9 days earlier, my mother had cried when I handed them the keys, not polite tears, real ones. She held both my hands and said, "I will treasure this forever." My father had walked through the house slowly, opening kitchen drawers, standing at the testing the brass handle on the stone fireplace screen like he couldn't believe any of it was real. My mother kissed me twice, my father hugged me once, which for him was practically public worship. And now there was a sign in the dirt, someone else was touring the house. I got out of the car and walked straight toward the porch. The agent saw me first. Tall man, navy blazer, polished boots, mountain casual in the expensive way that means he sells second homes to people who call work from desks with better views than most hotels. "Afternoon," he said with a bright sales smile, "will just be a few minutes." "What is this?" He blinked. I pointed at the sign. "What is this?" Behind him, the couple touring the kitchen looked toward us. The woman still had the pantry door open. Then my mother appeared in the foyer. She saw my face and stopped. Not guilty at first, annoyed. "You should have called before driving up." That line almost made me laugh. I looked at the sign again. Then at the open house brochures on the console table I had picked out myself, "You listed the house." My father came out of the great room then, calm as ever, one hand in his pocket. "We were going to tell you." "No, you weren't." My mother crossed her arms. "Maya, don't be dramatic, we're simplifying." Simplifying. That was the family word they used whenever they wanted greed to sound like maturity. The mountain house sat on 3 ridge acres above Blue Ridge Basin. All dark cedar siding, black steel roof, on limestone chimney, deep wrap-around deck. I'd built it through my design company after a contract year that changed my life. I spent months on it. I chose the reclaimed beams, the slate in the mudroom, the extra deep soaking tub my mother always said she'd have if life had gone differently. I put heated floors in the primary bath because my father's knees were bad and he hated cold tile. I didn't build them an investment. I built them a forever house. The couple touring the place came awkwardly back into the foyer, clearly wishing they had arrived 15 minutes later or not at all. The agent lowered his voice. "Maybe I should give you folks a minute." "No," I said, "stay." My father's jaw tightened. My mother tried softness. "Your father and I talked. This is too much house for us and frankly, you already have enough. Chloe needs stability." There it was, my sister, of course. She had not bothered to come greet me. She was upstairs apparently because I could hear footsteps over the foyer. Chloe always arrives second in scenes like this. Late enough to avoid the first accusation, early enough to enjoy the result. "You're selling my gift to put Chloe somewhere," I said. My father finally dropped the polite voice. "It was a gift. Gifts belong to the people who receive them. That would have worked better if I had given them the deed. I had not. I had handed them the keys. That mattered." At the anniversary dinner, along with the ribbon key box, I had also given them a leather folder from my attorney's office. My mother cried and set it aside without opening it. My father said, "Whatever it is, we trust you." Then everyone toasted and then Chloe took photos by the fireplace. Then the night moved on. They never asked me about the papers again. Now the agent looked between us, suddenly less comfortable. "Mr. and Mrs. Hayes," he said, "is there a title issue I should know about?" My father answered too quickly. "No." I looked straight at the agent. "Did they tell you they own this house?" Silent. That changed his face. Not panic, interest, because real estate people know tone is nothing, ownership is paper. He glanced at my parents, then at the listing folder on the entry table, then pulled out his phone. My father took one step toward him. "That won't be necessary." The agent's smile disappeared completely. "Oh," he said, already opening the county parcel site, "I think it is." He typed the address, waited, opened the parcel summary, then his eyes narrowed. He tapped once more, opened the deed image and went very still. The couple by the kitchen stopped pretending not to listen. My mother saw his face change first. "What is it?" He looked up from the screen, then back at my father, And in a completely different voice, one with no salesmanship left in it at all, he asked, "Why does this property show a recorded life occupancy transfer and retained title under Summit Peak Holdings?" My father stopped moving. Because suddenly the listing was no longer about betrayal, it was about authority. And they had just tried to sell a house they didn't actually own. My father stopped moving because he understood the question before anyone else did, not the tone, the word retained title. That was the part he had hoped nobody at the house would read before the sign did its work. So the agent turned the phone toward himself and opened the deed image fully. My mother tried first. There must be some filing delay. He didn't even look at her. This isn't a delay. Then he read from the screen, title holder, Summit Peak Holdings LLC. Grant recorded 9 days ago. Life occupancy rights granted to Arthur and Sylvia Hayes. The touring couple backed toward the porch without a word. Smart people. My father found his voice. "That's the structure she set up for us." "No," I said, "that's the structure I set up for the house." The agent looked at me. "Now, not them, you're the managing member." And that changed the room because now the issue wasn't emotional, not family, not gratitude or resentment, or whether my parents had earned the right to sell a gift. It was simpler when they had listed property they did not hold title to. My mother heard it too. You could see the exact second the story in her head stopped being about hurt feelings and became about exposure. "We were told this was ours," she said. I looked at the leather folder still sitting unopened on the shelf under the entry table. My lawyer's label was still on it. "No," I said, "you were told you could live here for life." The agent opened the second page of the deed. Then his expression changed again. "There's a sale restriction." Of course there was. I had put it there for exactly one reason. Because my father had spent my entire childhood acting like any generous thing in his reach was eventually convertible to cash. He read aloud, "Occupancy grantees hold no authority to sell, encumber, refinance, lease, assign, list, market, or otherwise transfer the property without written consent of Summit Peak Holdings." My mother's whole face went flat, not embarrassed, furious, because she had realized the gift had rules. My father stepped toward me. "You gave us keys and let us believe." "I gave you a folder with the deed summary. You should have said it directly." I almost laughed. "You should have opened it." That landed harder than I expected because it was true and because the agent was still standing there hearing every word. Chloe finally came down the stairs then. Phone in hand, already in performance mode. "What's going on?" The agent turned toward her. "This listing is likely unauthorized." Her face changed instantly. "What?" My mother snapped, "Stay out of it." But Chloe was already in it. She had to be. And this whole thing suddenly had her fingerprints all over it, too. She was the reason they were simplifying, the reason the house was too much, the reason forever lasted 9 days. I stepped into the foyer and picked up the listing brochure. My own kitchen was on the front, my own fireplace, my own deck. And beneath the photo was the line that made the whole thing uglier. A rare opportunity to own a fully unencumbered luxury mountain retreat. I handed it to the agent. "Unencumbered." He took it, read the line and went pale. Then he looked back at the deed on his phone, then at my father. "You told me you owned this free and clear." My father said nothing. That told the truth better than words could. The agent called his office on speaker. He gave the parcel number, the seller's names, and one short sentence that changed everything. "Oh, pull the listing immediately. Title is wrong." My mother took one step toward him. "You can't just..." "Yes," he said, "I can." No smile now, no polish, just damage control. He asked his broker to remove the active marketing, notify the buyer's list, and preserve all draft sale communications. Then he asked the question I should have asked first. "Did either of you sign a disclosure stating you had authority to sell this property?" My father looked at the listing folder. That was answer enough. The agent closed his eyes once. "I need copies." My mother's voice dropped. "This was a misunderstanding." "No," I said, "this was a listing." That shut her up. The agent turned back to me. "If you're the title holder, I strongly suggest you secure the property immediately. And there may be another problem." "What?" He held up the brochure. "Well, if they signed as owners on this, there are probably offer docs in the system already." That changed the air again because a sign in the yard was one thing, offers were another. My father heard it too. There were no signed offers. The agent looked at him for a long second. "That is not what I asked." Then he checked something else on his phone, read one line, and his entire posture hardened. "There's a pending draft counteroffer in your name," he said to my father, "and it includes seller representations you were not authorized to make." My mother went white because the lie had just spread beyond the porch, and now it was in writing. My mother went white because she understood the danger before Chloe did. A sign in the yard could be denied. A tour could be minimized. A family argument on a porch could be spun into hurt feelings. And a draft counteroffer sitting in the brokerage system under my father's name was different. That was sequence, that was evidence. The agent looked from his phone to my father. Did you submit seller responses on this property? My father said nothing was final. That was not the same as no. The agent nodded once like a man already building his own defense file. So, you did? He scrolled again. There was an offer yesterday at 4:20, you countered at 6:15. You represented clear authority to convey and no title restrictions beyond ordinary closing. I laughed once, not loudly, just enough because that was the whole thing right there. They had not just tested a sign, they had gone into the machinery of a sale and started answering as owners. My mother tried softness again. We thought family occupancy rights meant. No, I said. You hoped the paperwork wouldn't be read before the contract was. That landed because it was true. My father straightened. You built us a house and hid conditions in an LLC. I gave you exactly what Grandma's lawyer told me to give you, I said. A protected home for life. Not an asset to liquidate for Chloe. Chloe finally snapped. Why does everything have to be about me? I looked at her. Because your boxes are upstairs and your photos are on my console. That shut her up. The agent stepped back from all of us and called his broker again. This time he put it on speaker. We have unauthorized seller activity, a deed restriction and false ownership representations. Freeze the file, kill the counter, notify compliance. His broker asked one question. Oh, was earnest money submitted? The agent checked, then his face changed again. Worse. Yes, he said, 5,000 held in escrow. My father closed his eyes, small, fast. But I saw it because now this wasn't just embarrassment, now money had touched the lie. The broker's voice sharpened. Then preserve every message, disclosure, draft, and seller note. No one says another word to the buyer without counsel. The call ended, the house had gone very quiet. Wind off the ridge pushed once against the deck screens. Somewhere upstairs Chloe's charger vibrated against wood. Then my phone rang. My attorney, I answered on speaker. Maya, she said, I just got a compliance call from Oakwood Properties. Tell me no one signed anything as fee owner. The agent answered before I could. They did. My attorney exhaled once. Not, of course they did. Then her voice turned sharper. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes, because title is retained by Summit Peak Holdings. Any listing, offer, counteroffer, disclosure, escrow instruction or seller representation made without Maya's written authority is void as to ownership and preserved as unauthorized conduct. You need to stop talking and start gathering copies. My mother whispered, this is insane. No, my attorney said. This is a real estate record. Then she asked the agent, did they disclose the life estate structure? He looked at the brochure in his hand and said, no. Did they market it as unencumbered? Did they submit seller counters? Good, she said, all preserve everything. Good. That word hit my father hardest because good meant their mistake had matured into leverage for me. Within 40 minutes, the sign was gone, the listing was pulled, the buyers showing requests were canceled, and the escrow deposit was frozen pending authority review. My parents signed disclosure packet, the counteroffer draft, and every MLS representation were copied to my attorney before anyone could soften a sentence. Then came the practical part. I changed the locks, this time myself. Chloe stood on the gravel while a mover carried her floral suitcases back to her SUV. She kept trying to act insulted, but insult requires innocence, and by then even she knew too much. My mother cried once, my father didn't. He just watched the front door like a man seeing a house for the first time as something he could no longer convert. 3 weeks later, Oakwood's compliance office formally closed the unauthorized listing file. The buyer got the escrow back. Now my parents signed a withdrawal acknowledgement and a non-interference agreement after my attorney made it clear the next step would not be a family phone call. Chloe moved into a short-term rental in town. My mother stopped saying, we'll treasure this forever. Once she realized forever had conditions she could not talk her way out of. My father learned that receiving a gift and owning a title are not the same sentence. As for the mountain house, I kept the life occupancy structure exactly as it was, not to punish them because Grandma had been smarter than everyone in that room. She knew my parents loved beautiful things. She also knew they loved turning beautiful things into cash the second they thought gratitude had expired. So she made sure they could live in the house but never sell it. That was the real gift, not the cedar beams or the ridge view, the heated floors or the fireplace. Control, staying with the person who understood what the house was supposed to be. They got 9 days of fantasy. I got the deed. If this story pulled you in, tell me in the comments what you would have done in my place. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Disclaimer: this video is created for the sole purpose of entertainment. All situations, characters, and stories in this video are fictional and are built entirely using artificial intelligence technology. We hope you have a relaxing time.